Welcome to the Wellbeing Wiz Omnicast episode 20, and I'm carrying on the interviews with some fabulous ladies. We've moved into the Marvellous Matriarchs of March, which is a great new name thought up by Laura Brunton the other week. Today, I have got an awesome guest. Today, I've got a lady called Joanne Ripley. She is all sorts of things. She's a soul and life purpose coach. She's just told me she works in mental health during the day. She also does moon manifestation. She's a certified coach in several different things. I believe she's also a mom. She's a businesswoman. My word, she's all sorts of things. So get ready for a super interesting and super inspirational chat. Hi, Joanne, how are you?
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. I've got a bit of nervousness, actually. Maybe you can help me with my anxiety.
That's right, but I tell you what, you look epic with your background behind you. You've got no reason to be nervous at all.
I know, I'm drifting through space to get here. I've come through time and space.
You've got the best background so far. You're winning. You're in the lead. So tell me a bit about yourself. Sorry?
I wonder if that could be a new competition on your show. Who can have the best background?
It is now. Says the lady who's got the best background by a mile and guaranteed to win. But anyway, so tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us what you do.
So I am a moon manifestation coach. Basically, I've been working with the power of the moon to help people to manifest their best lives. And it's really strange how it happened because, well, it wasn't strange really, but I've been spiritual my whole life. And then over the last sort of 3 to 4 years, I really got into working with the moon. And what happened was over sort of the first lockdown, I made a group of women. What I did is I created this group of ladies that are all my friends, and I invited them to come and work with the moon with me for free. And I just said, right, let's make a little like coven, right? So I made my own coven with all my favourite people in it. So like I literally just said to all my best mates, I've got loads of them, and I was like, right, you're coming in this WhatsApp group, we're going to have like Zoom meetings, and you're going to do the chanting with me. Like they pretty much were like, they were just told they were doing it.
No,
I was like, well, the thing was, they'd seen how much it had changed my life working with it over the last 3 to 4 years. So they were like, right, we'll get in on this. Absolutely. But what we just didn't expect was the massive shifts that happened. It literally is magic. So what ended up happening is within a couple of months, they literally all started manifesting like really huge things. So like one of them manifested a dream home. She actually didn't have anywhere to live of her own up until she started working with the moon. She was actually like in this house that she was renting because she just had this impossible situation where she just was trying to get a house, and then she ended up with this like really amazing home on this beachfront. I'm not even joking. I turned up, I was like, this looks like something out of a magazine. Like,
no.
how did you manifest this?
Wow.
But anyway, yes, and people just manifested loads of money. One of my very best friends, I interviewed her on my Instagram. She like manifested basically being able to leave her job, because a day job, because her business took off that well, and it was just amazing. So people's lives just suddenly were absolutely shifting, changing. People getting proposed to, getting married. It was just amazing. We just couldn't. And as a group, like my friends were just saying, "Oh my God, Jo, you just need to do this. You're so good at this. Like, you should just be doing this." And it was a chance meeting with Jess.
Yeah, Jess Bingham, who's been on the podcast a few weeks ago, and
I just had a conversation with her online, and then it was just like I said, you know, what I did, and like how I'd turned these women's lives around completely, you know, turned their lives around. They would even come on and hand on heart say to you themselves, they could not believe what happened to themselves. And so I told Jess, and then Jess was like, "Oh, I love this. Like, I love like all the work you do with the moon." And I came on as a guest to do some, you know, new moon stuff, new moon ceremony. And then after that, the rest is history. So I like ended up on the CFE membership, on the CFE Masters, group. And it's just been amazing, like meeting you all. And it's just like I manifested my best life meeting Jess.
There you go. So you sort of help people when you coach people. Then you coach people to use the moon to manifest what they want by thinking by the moon's phases. Is that right? Or
yeah, that's right. So you've got like a new moon phase, which is the time for new beginnings. So that's when you're planting your seeds. If you think about how the moon works through the cycles, it goes new moon, and then you go into the waxing phase. So the waxing phase is all about the energy is gaining sort of momentum towards that full moon, and you can use that energy to work towards your goals and things like that. So when I'm coaching in my group, I keep them on target every week. So I'll say, right, we're in the waxing energy now. This is what you need to do. You need to keep working towards them goals. And then when you get to the full moon's like where the energy is at its peak. Mm-hmm. So it's really like heightened. It's a time for releasing. So we do a full moon ceremony about releasing, and we do a lot of work around gratitude. So gratitude throughout all the moon phases, because I believe gratitude is like a really important part of life, and that people need to be in gratitude more to be able to manifest things. Like it attracts more good things to you the more you're in that sort of mindset.
Absolutely. Like attracts like. Absolutely.
And then as the moon sort of goes from, look at me, I'm doing I always talk with my hands. I'm sat on the other one.
Listening to it rather than watching it, of course.
Yeah, but the moon goes from full to sort of, it shrinks down. So we call it the waning phase. So then basically you've got the moon sort of shrinking, heading towards what we call the dark of the moon. So we're heading back towards that new moon phase, and the dark of the moon and the waning aspect is more around looking at what can we keep releasing, what do we need to release in order to be, because in order for us to attract more, we need to release all the stuff that we don't need anymore. So it's about becoming sort of empty, not empty as in like, oh no, I'm empty, but like emptying all the stuff out, all the stuff that we're hanging on to, all those beliefs and values that don't help us. And a lot of the people that I work with, they come to work with me because they think they want abundance and they want money, and I'll say it's not money you want, it's the experience you want. And they find when they get into like the waning aspect of the moon, and it starts, when it's shrinking, they really do start to sink and feel like they're energetically feeling the pull of the moon after a while, because they're really starting to get into the cycle of it and they start to really use it. But they find that they get more than just abundance. They start to feel like they're in control. They plan self-care in the waning time. They'll plan, it's really interesting how it really shifts your whole emotional well-being. So
fascinating. Yeah. And of course, the moon, we forget the moon controls the tides on Earth. We're made massively of water. So it stands to reason that massively of water. What a sentence. We're made massively of water. I couldn't remember the percentage, but
it's 70%, I think it is.
There you go. So it's bound to affect our bodies in some way. And it stands to reason. And also, of course, you've got that natural cycle that we've kind of fallen out with because we're following calendars now, rather than the phase of the moon like harvest growers back in the day would. And so it stands to reason that you've got this natural timing to follow as well when coaching people. I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, what is a month? A moonth. Look at the difference.
This is what I love about your podcast, where you always call Monday Moon Day. I love it.
But it was called Moon Day, like, and a month is a moonth. So I say moonth now, because the full cycle of the moon is like 29.5 days on average. Mm-hmm. So every shift of the moon into a different sign, like Aries, Taurus, all the rest of it stays approximately 2.53 days, and it'll move through every single sign of the zodiac in 1 month, in 1 month.
And 1 month. Moving on to what I do and what we talk about on the podcast normally. Obviously, I'm an anxiety coach, help people manage their anxiety. Is it something that you've suffered from personally over time?
Yeah, so basically I'm a singer in my spare time, and some of the stuff I do in my ceremonies, I do chanting and things. But going back, a few years, and before lockdown, I used to see. I sang with a band. The band's called the Sun Kings, and I've been with them now for about 5 or 6 years. But I really struggled quite badly with performance anxiety, and I still have a bit of it now. You know, like I think it's something you're either quite a naturally maybe slightly more anxious person or not, and
Absolutely,
I think you embrace your sort of vulnerabilities sometimes. So it's about sort of I've worked on it, and it's been a real journey, because a lot of my anxieties were about getting on stage without alcohol, and being afraid to like be present in a room with people and feeling like they might be judging me, or that I just wasn't enough. I always had this like not enoughness about me. I used to have to. I actually wrote it on my mirror every single day, saying, you know, I am enough. And I used to say it to myself, I am enough. I am enough. And it really, you know, getting myself out of that negative headspace where I'd tell myself that I wasn't. It was like this negative automatic thought going around in my brain that was saying, you're not any good, Joe. You're going to get on stage and you're going to forget everything. And I used to have to take my words on stage with me as well, because I genuinely told myself I just couldn't. Like I would be thinking,
just that in my back still. Even songs I've written myself.
Yes, exactly the same.
That safety net of knowing they're there in case, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute, who's heard this before? Even if I get the words wrong, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but someone said to me, are you sure these are your own songs, Joe? Because you've got your words with you. And I said, that's because I'm frightened to forget them. I'm afraid to forget and look like an idiot.
And it's
so
classic,
yeah, I get that.
Classic sort of stopping us doing something we love doing. You know, that self-doubt, that those limiting beliefs that I'm never any good, I'm not good enough. You know, I'm a guitarist as well as a singer. I compare myself to the other guitarists in the band, or the guitarists I see out and about. Oh, don't play, Bev, you're nowhere near as good as them. You'll never be as good as them. It's that little voice. And it's what I always say. Would you say that to your best mate? It's what I always say to people. You know, I just heard you saying then, Joe, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. You wouldn't say that to your best friend, but you're saying it to it's really, really interesting that you can catch yourself doing it, you will listen to yourself doing it, but you wouldn't say it to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing.
And I think having some earlier experiences in my life where I was maybe told, I had been told that I wasn't good enough. And I think because you have to tell yourself that all or nothing thinking, you can't allow yourself to get there, because actually, just because one person doesn't like you doesn't mean to say everybody won't. And I think for a long time, I really believed that I wasn't good enough, like because one person told me that my songs weren't good enough or that I wasn't good enough. And actually, like, I was, people were really cross with me that I'd hidden my talent for so long. When I actually got on stage at 30, 31, people said to me, I'm so cross with you for hiding that for so long.
Oh, that doesn't happen to my singing. People say, I'm really cross with you turning up and singing. Don't do it again.
Because I play guitar as well, Bevan. I only learned when I was 21. I'm 37 now. And I knew I was never going to be any Jimi Hendrix, like, you know, but I'm all right. You know, I can play chords, and it was how I wrote my songs. And I just made the mistake of playing my songs to the wrong people. It's always good to pick your audience, isn't it? Have the right audience.
This is I always say this. It's like, do you know what? As people, as anxious people in particular, we're allowed to like and dislike things in our own minds. If someone dislikes us, we're devastated. It's like we're allowed to say, oh, I don't like them. Like, for example, I'm not big on Coldplay, for example. Just an example, right? I'm allowed to dislike them, but if they dislike my music, oh, crikey, I'd be upset. And it's like, you have this weird kind of, you're allowed to dislike things, but if anyone else sort of doesn't like you as a person, doesn't like what you do, it's the worst thing in the world. And it's like that realizing that not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like what you do, but the people who do like you and do like what you do, enjoy them.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, like, I don't like every single band that I listen to, you know, but I'm in appreciation of music. So
exactly. I mean, I can see how good they are, but it might not necessarily be my taste. You know, like, I love a bit of Viking metal. You might not like Viking metal at all. You might think it's terrible, but it's appreciating that these guys can play guitar. You know, they can write songs and they can fill stadiums. It's like pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny how in your mind, when you set yourself up as a sort of anxious person, it's that I'm allowed to dislike this, I'm allowed to not think that's any good, but yeah, I can't have anyone having an opinion against me in any way, shape or form. It will destroy me. And it's like,
yeah,
it's pointing it out to people and they go, crikey, yeah.
yeah. And I think it's like it fed into my spirituality as well, because I was in the spiritual closet for a long time, and
Spiritual closet.
yeah, I was, and I would hide it at all costs, you know, because growing up, I was mediumistic and psychic, and I was really lucky to grow up in a family where, like, it was just normal for me to be able to be me. And you know, if I said, wow, I've just seen an aura, my nana would be like, oh wow, that's amazing, what colour was it, you know? And I'd be like telling her all about this teacher's aura. I remember running home from school once and saying like, I've just seen this like really pink light around this lady, and my nana explaining to me what it was. And you know, and my nana was just so great at stuff like that. She bought me on the astrology tools and everything when I was younger, and like really just always encouraged my spirituality, and my mum as well. So but
that's
it took me a lot
with things like astrology and mediumship and spirituality. It's easy to become anxious about that because people are very judgmental. People can be very harsh about what you believe in. And it's like, well, it seems to be, and this is one thing that's, I'm getting on my soapbox now. It's one thing that irritates me a little bit, is about programs and podcasts like yours. Actually, you have to do it at the start of yours and say, this is for entertainment purposes only. And that irritates me because they don't make, say, Songs of Praise do that, or they don't make X, Y, and Z program do that, but they seem to make spiritual programs do that. And it's again, it's building up that anxiety, building up that kind of, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be into this? Should I be enjoying this? But anyway, that's me on my soapbox. But I must admit, when I was listening to your podcast last Monday, I went, oh God, this really annoys me when they're almost made to say this to justify what kind it is.
Yeah, and I think it's because, you know, you don't want people to make rash decisions off the back of what you've said. So, you know, it's
got to be there for that, but it's more kind of like the Most Haunted and programs like that. They have to preface anything said on here, take it with a pinch of salt completely. And it's almost like, well, hang on a minute, you should put that in front of the news. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but there you go. Yeah, that's what winds me up. It's just that. So I'll move on because I'll get stuck in that, because I get stuck on my soapbox. What did you do then to help you through this performance anxiety in particular, and this kind of judging yourself and self-doubt? Is there any sort of thing you did to get over it or to manage it?
Yeah, so basically a lot of my anxieties are because I've got some post-traumatic stress issues that I'd had to try and overcome, and I did get some help for it. And it is something that's ongoing. I don't think, you know, I've overcome everything that I needed to overcome with it, and I feel as though I've made peace with it. So I'm at a place where I'm like, you know what, this is Jo, and I love her, and I'm really glad that she's been through everything she's ever been through, to make her the person that she is. But it really helped me to work in more of a compassionate state with myself. So instead of sort of saying to myself, you're not good enough, it was turning it around and sort of mothering myself and nurturing myself. So working in a compassionate way and turning my internal negative thoughts into a positive thought. So just talking to myself like I would my best friend. And then I taught that people I've started to coach, I use that compassionate method with them to get them to change their thoughts, and it's worked amazingly. It has really worked amazingly for people. So yeah, I've lived it, and I'm really grateful to, even though like people say to me, I just can't believe that you say that you're grateful, and I'm like, I've had some really horrific experiences, and they really did get me to the lowest of the low. I've really struggled, but I feel like I'm such a better person for it. I feel like I can really sit with people when they're in a crisis and like really just be there with them in the moment and say, you know what, it's a good thing, this, like, in a way, I don't say it to people, but I almost say it's a good thing in a way that we sometimes hit our own sort of bottom, because the only way is up then.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. And it's that being, I found that the way when you share what you've been through, and there's suddenly that connection where someone realizes that you're in exactly where they are. Because when you're anxious and when you're depressed, and you feel very alone. You feel like no one else's anxiety is like yours. No one else's thoughts are like yours. No one else's experience is like yours. And you're not, because there's that's where anxiety gets you. It makes you think you're on your own. It makes you think that no one else will get it. And as soon as that connection's formed and you can share a moment that's the same that you've been through, I think the best coaches are the people, like you say, who've learned from experience, who've been there. And that's why I picked anxiety, because I'd been there. I knew all about it. I knew how horrible it could be. And I wanted to coach, but it was more importantly, I wanted to help people out of it.
Yeah.
And when you've been to the bottom, like you say, you've got all those lessons from the bottom to bring, to share with other people and say, you know what, this is how I did it, and we can do it together and we can get out of it. And yeah, I love it. Okay, so is this something that you would describe as like Joanne's secret sauce that you sprinkle on your coaching to make it successful? What's your sort of, don't give away your trade secrets so someone else can steal it, but is there something about your coaching that you'd be able to sort of share that is different from everyone else's?
I think, like I said, working with the moon sometimes, it becomes more than just wanting abundance. And I think the secret sauce, and without sounding big-headed, I think it is just me. And like, I think that like the way that I am a nurturing person, and I give everybody 110%. Everybody that ever works with me knows they get like the best of me. And I'm always available to people. And I try, because I think sometimes, especially if you're doing release work, you need to be really sort of mindful of other people's mental states and be able to like really support them through things that maybe come up through that. So I feel like my secret sauce is the fact that I understand mental health. I do actually think that we're quite similar in lots of ways, Bevan, that we've got lived experience, but also that I am actually a qualified mental health practitioner. I am a nurse, so I've got a lot of years experience.
Wow, yeah, that's the depth to it, and that gives you that extra even layer that you can work with as well, doesn't it? And knowledge and skill set. Yeah, that's 100% a secret sauce right there.
Yeah, I do just think it's that compassionate approach to people. And I try to, a lot of the things that I used to, when I used that compassionate approach for myself, I used to almost try and embody this sort of divine mother. I worked a lot with the Mother Mary in like my spirituality. I tried to bring more of that Mother Mary love around me, and I try to embody that a lot more, that divine feminine energy. So I think that's my secret sauce as well.
Hey, and what a sauce it is! I tell you what, that's awesome. So coming on to coaching, is there like a sort of a common myth about coaching, or your coaching in particular, that you'd like to sort of dispel? You've got the floor, you've got my huge listenership. you can dispel it right now live on the show.
Yeah, what I would say is, if you come into new and full moon work, I think it's like an ongoing process. So I think when people come into it, they sort of dabble in it a little bit, and then I think that it's almost like becomes your way of life. And I think when people first come into it, it's either for them or not for them. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite happy for people to say, you know what, I'm just not going to be able to commit to this. Like, I think that's like the myth that you can just dip in and out, because I think once you're in sync with the moon, you just naturally just start to think, what did I do before I was in sync with the moon? Like literally
people who do like gym programs and diet, you can't go into it for a month. It has to be a commitment to a lifestyle change, and it's a bit like that, I guess. You can't just
that's why I like to get the clients to work with me for 3 months, because then they can really see the benefit of 3 moon cycles. And then what I'll say is, you really need to do this for 12 months. So they don't have to work with me in my group for past 3 months. They can work on go off and do their own. But I like them to come and work in the group for 3 months to be able to really get into the swing of it. So yeah, that's probably one of the myths. I would say if you dabble in and out, you're not going to probably feel the full benefit of the working with the cycles. I would say
you've got the moonths. I'm getting into it now, and then they fall into a year cycle as well. You're going to get, like you say, in a year, you're going to get the full sort of turnaround of the year, you know, and you see all the different benefits if you just dabble in it. No, you're totally right. I'm totally up for that. And it's like it's coming to me and saying, yeah, I've learned all these techniques and tips and things, and now I'm just going to stop doing them. You do that, you know, like you say, you're setting someone's lifestyle up to change so they can succeed. That's, yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie. Now, I always like to ask this question. I like this one. Are there sort of 3 people who have helped your career or your personal development to date that you'd like to sort of say thank you or hold your hand up to and say cheers for that?
Yeah, so my first ones would be my children. I think having my children and these probably, you know, the people probably might not be people that would be people that I've met maybe in my career, but people that I really feel that have really been supportive or taught me quite a lot of lessons. And I think being a young mum, I was a very young mum, I was a teen mum, so having my children, I'm really grateful to them because I really had to step up. Mm-hmm. And it really did shift me into that law of attraction work, because I knew I had to start to make a good life for them. I knew I had to work hard to make a good life for them. And the law of attraction work started there, you know, many years ago. Wow. So I'm really grateful to my kids because I talk about how I manifested them a place in a private school as well. Like, you know, like literally I used to sit with my eyes closed, and I'd literally imagine them stood outside of a really posh school in our local area with the uniform on, and I'm picking them up, and I visualize that all the time, and I'd feel how it felt. And in the end, they went there. They actually did go there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
And
incredible. The power of manifestation is incredible. It blows my mind every time. I love it.
Yeah. And people with like, I'd say, yeah, Willow and Heather are going there. And like, people go, how can you afford that? And I go, yeah, they're going there. And it was like, I just knew it. I knew they were going there. And yeah, so my kids really helped me with my law of attraction work. I've manifested so much stuff for them and for us.
Look at them.
Yeah, they've done amazing. And then I'd say like my best friends, so my coven, whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm very northern. So if I hadn't have done the moon work with them originally, I don't think I would have probably ended up on this path, because I probably just would have been a solo practitioner. I probably just would have just done it by myself, and it was I felt like I was really guided to create what I created, and then ended up with the outcomes that I ended up with. So I'm so grateful to them, and I love them so much. They really are like my family. I've got a family there that just support everything, and as well, every business decision I make, I take it into the Coven, and they literally will just help me. They just literally, I'll say, what do you think of this idea? Do you think the podcast's working? What do you think I can change? And they'll come up with like ideas. So it's like having a business team.
It's like having like a bunch of accountability partners. It's like having like a sort of, and I would imagine they've all got their different talents in there. It's like having a pool of talents to sort of draw upon and opinions. And that's cool. Everyone should have a coven. I need to get one, a bro coven.
Yeah. Well, it's what I tried to recreate in the group situation with the moon coaching, because I put everyone into a WhatsApp, and I tried to get them to share all their successes and if they're worrying about something. And so you're building up the female element of like support, nurturing, networking. It's very Aquarius, age of Aquarius, community, supporting each other. That's what we're in. So I'm embracing it and going with it.
I love the way you slide into that. It's like when I listen to your podcast, it's like you've got these lovely phrases, like, you know, you said age of Aquarius, it's community, it's this. I'm like, oh wow, I love that sort of knowledge and that depth of, like, as soon as you mention one star sign, you're off, and I just love it.
Yeah. And the last person I would probably say, last but not least, I would say Jess. I think like meeting Jess was a really pivotal moment in my career. I feel as though she's been so supportive, so nurturing, so welcoming, really sort of, you know, I I just couldn't have met anyone nicer to have tried to support me to, you know, get to where I need to be, because she could see the potential, and I'm just, yeah, I'm really, really grateful to her.
Quite a top lady, and it's like that. It's like you say, that encouragement, that cheerleader side of her is amazing. Like, I've never had anyone speak about my work so enthusiastically. I think is probably the best description. And she speaks to everyone that works in the Conscious Female Entrepreneurs group with us so enthusiastically. Like, you know, you're the best at what you do right there. There's no doubt about it. And it's that 100% support for people that just makes you feel great, and it drives you on to better things, doesn't it? I totally agree with you. Absolutely. She's probably on my list.
She's created this amazing community for all of us. And you know, it really is embodying the energy that we're in now, and I love it. I just, you know, we're all in so much flow. We're all in flow, aren't we? And we're creating, we're conscious creators, and it's just beautiful. I really enjoy it. So thank you, Jess.
Far too much fun, and being the only guy in there, I was really worried about it for a start, but actually I just slotted right in, and as if I'm just one of the girls. I don't mind at all. It's brilliant. But anyway, yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. Check out Jess's Conscious Female Entrepreneurs group on Facebook. It's definitely, if you're a lady in business or a lady into spiritual things, get on that. That's definitely somewhere to be. Okie dokie. Now, I know you're a big reader and a big learner. So if there's one book that you would like suggest that our listeners and viewers got hold of, what would it be?
Okay, I've got the book with me.
I love it when people bring props. It happens every week, and one of my faves. I love the fact it disappears in the background as well, because it's the same color as the background. It sort of appears. That's a wicked special effect.
That is, isn't it?
Just for the light and magic levels of special effects right there. So what's that for those who are listening?
It's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And it was interesting because before I came on, I brought it with me. I literally take this book everywhere with me. If I needed to go on holiday, I'd take this book with me. It's on my nightstand, and I have it, and I use it as a bit of an oracle, right? And it answers my question. It's really bizarre. And like literally before I came on, I had this, and I just like opened it. And you know what it was talking about? It was talking about how like plants, trees, animals, you know, like frogs, cats, you don't see them having the worst day of their life and being depressed and anxious. And like basically it talked about living in the moment. And that's one of the things I really feel like this book really helped save me with my anxious feelings, because it helped me to learn to live in the now. And that's why it's called Power of Now. And we've just literally done this. I have in my group, we've all read this as a group. Because I said it's a really it was a pivotal moment for me reading this book. And I've had it was really strange because I had this book for over 10 years and I read it the first time and I mustn't have digested it. And when I came back to it and I read it again, and then I was like, oh my goodness, why didn't I fully digest this the first time?
It is amazing, isn't it? It's such a good book.
Yeah, so this is one, definitely use it as an oracle. It literally answers your questions, and it's just.
I don't know if the camera picked up my face when you were saying about open it as an oracle and how people being anxious, and I was like, my mouth was wide open. I look like a living frog. I was like, wow, really? And it's got something in there, like you say, for every day. You can open it up, and it'll remind you that now is the most important thing. The past doesn't matter. The future doesn't matter. Just sit tight in now. Appreciate what you've got in now, you know, and think for the now. My biggest thing when I was anxious was worrying, looking forward, panicking about what's going to happen tomorrow. What was going to happen? What if? And it's that nice kind of, it's a warm, comfy blanket that brings you back to now. That's what I'd put on the back. If I was to write on the back of Eckhart Tolle's book, it would be that. It's a warm, comfy blanket that keeps you in now.
Yeah, and then that's the thing as well. It robs you of your joy. So like I was saying to someone the other day, I had a conversation with someone and she was saying, you know, all I do is worry. And I said, well, that's robbing you of today's joy, of today's happiness. And, you know, the present is called a present for a reason, isn't it? It's a present, it's a gift. It's a gift to you. you know, so
I tell you what, there's always a clip that I go, that's going on the Instagram. That right there is it.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, people just it's having that lived experience, so isn't it, Bevan, that really helps us to be able to understand and go, do you know what, it's hard to make that shift sometimes into that other sort of thing. Yeah, actually it is robbing me of my joy, it's robbing me, and but it takes us, you almost come to this realization one day. Did that happen for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you just like,
and it happens, the nice bit is I've had it happen in front of my face in sessions with people as well before, where they've gone, hang on, I don't have to do this anymore, do I? And it's like, wow. It's only happened twice. Usually it happens between sessions. People will come back and go, oh, you know, I had this epiphany. But it happened on Zoom once and face-to-face another time. And it's just incredible. Like, you see all the worry melt away. And it's like, I'm doing this to myself. I don't have to do it anymore. I'm done with it. And it's like, wow, it's so good. Yeah, it's a golden moment. And I remember it happening to me. I remember the day it happened. And I was like, I realized that it was just me.
yeah.
And I could choose to be different. I could choose to think about what I wanted to think about. But then I cried buckets because I'd missed so much.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not getting stuck in the grief of what you've lost then, because you feel as though there was moments that I wish that I'd been able to be more present. And actually then I started to kick myself because I had to use that compassionate voice again to say, it's all right, Joe.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I missed this and I missed that. And then the past starts wounding you there. And then you're not missing the present because you're looking backwards, not forwards. And you've just got to go, no, we're going to make new moments. But what we're going to do is realize that we're in the moment. Don't be too hypersensitive. Yeah, it's a massive long discussion, but it's that beautiful moment you realize now is what's cool now. And Eckhart Tolle is the book to read to get yourself in that vibe for sure. Okay. I bet you've got tons of these. This is a great question. Is there anything you do every day to aid your well-being that you'd sort of suggest to people to do?
Yeah, I would say my life shifted, and I talked a bit about gratitude, but I always keep a gratitude diary. So there's something that I do, and I don't know if anyone's ever come across it before. It's called the morning pages as well. And I spend about 5 minutes just journaling before I even get out of bed. I have a book and I just thought dump for about 5 minutes. So I write 10 things I'm grateful for, and I thought dump for 5 minutes. Even if it's just, I set myself a target of 2 pages. So if I can do 2 sides of thought dumping, then I get it out of myself, because what it does, it frees you up for creativity. So if you can get in a good practice, a morning practice, that's the one thing I probably advise people. And having a morning practice really changed my life. So,
and this again, on one of that's one of the exercises we do on my anxiety course. It's getting those things out of your brain onto a piece of paper. A, you can look at them from a third party. B, they're not swimming around in there. As soon as you get them on paper, they seem to sort of come out and not be not quite scary when they're written down. And also then the gratitude part of it that you do is reminding you that there are good things out there, and there are, which then moves on to manifesting later on down the line. But it's getting that realization that, hey, it's not so bad, I've got a roof over my head, I've got this, I've got that. You start to feel a bit better. Yeah, I journal all the time, and a big thing I'd add is get yourself a book you really like to write in. Makes a big difference. I've got a nice big leather kind of book, and it's that tactile enjoyment, pens you like using, stupid little things that create that habit because you like holding that thing in your hand. And but 100%, I would agree with that. Love a bit of journaling. My journal's a really interesting book to open.
Yeah, I've read some old ones of mine and I was just like, wow, there's some really cool ideas in there.
It's like watching old familiar episodes of Coronation Street or Emmerdale or something like that. I remember this.
Yeah.
But go
back and read and you think, oh, that was a good idea that I just put in there. Because sometimes the ideas just come through my brain and it's literally like a download, and I'll just write it down. So
I've got a section in mind for work things. I've got a section in mind for stuff I want to watch in the future, or video games I want to play, or bands I want to listen to more. Just anything that comes into my head and go, I really need to get into that. Jot that down, or I really hate this. This is annoying me, and draw a horrible picture of it, and just get it out. And that's another thing I would suggest: no lines in your book as well, because then you're not kept to writing in the lines. That kind of freaks me out. I like a blank page so I can draw.
Ooh.
And I'm a terrible drawer, but I know what I'm drawing and no one else is going to see it, so it doesn't matter.
Ooh. What star sign are you, Bevan? What's your sun sign?
But I'm an Aries. I was born in March 24th next week. So
I thought you were an Aries because I think we had a little chat, didn't we? And I think you'd said you Scorpio. Are you Scorpio rising as well? Did you tell me you were?
That's
Scorpio?
right. I looked it up because I didn't know what it was. You did it. I think you mentioned it on Instagram or something. So I went away to look it up. Yeah.
Because Aries is all about, Aries. I could imagine, being an Aries, you do like that life without lines. It's like, where can I explore? Where can I create? So that's really, Aryan. Yeah. I'm just interested. I'm being nosy.
I tell you what, I could sit and talk for hours about, because I'm fascinated by these traits of star signs and things. I always think I'm more, because Aries are probably quite fiery, are they? I'm quite more of a Pisces kind of vibe. I'm more kind of chilled out, but but might be where I was born, like the time and date and all that sort of stuff has got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, because I think with Aries as well, they have got this. I've got a lot of friends. Sorry, my voice is going. I've got a lot of friends that are male Aries. I think they get a bad rap, to be honest. I don't think like, I think they're very, they can be quite driven when they want to be, and that's that part of, being an Aries. It's the beginning of the astrological signs. It's the first sign, and it's that, where you take, maybe I would say to people, if we're in the Aries energy, like, look before you leap, so it can be very sort of spontaneous sometimes, Aries, can it? And but everything has its place.
I love it. So yeah, that's it. So I didn't realize it was an Aries trait, but yeah, I like having no lines on my paper, so I could just write upside down if I want, or wherever I want. So there's no restrictions on me. I quite like that. So yeah, get a journal, definitely. Okay, this is one of my favorite last three questions I always ask. I love time travel. I'm obsessed with it. My course in the Conscious Female Entrepreneurs is about traveling back to your past and changing how you look at it. What piece of advice would you give to 20-year-old Joe if you were able to jump in my time machine?
I would probably go back to what we were saying before about living in the moment. And I would probably say to her, enjoy it. Like, rather than being afraid to get on stage, enjoy being on stage, enjoy the connection and, enjoy all the moments, because they're actually not as scary as it's just not real. Your thoughts aren't real.
That's what I would say to my 20-year-old self. I've always said this: you are not your thoughts. I realized that when I was 35, maybe. And that's what I'd tell myself. Yeah, the thoughts that are going through your head are just that. Just because they're in your voice doesn't mean they're you.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And because I tell you what, I'd have saved myself a heck of a lot of stress if I hadn't sort of known that. But anyway, okay. This is a good one. Is there any questions that you would have liked me to ask you that I haven't?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was thinking maybe, I don't know what I like to do outside of work, but then I think I've pretty much covered that, to be honest, because
we could always do that. I'm going to say, so then Joe, what do you like to do outside of work?
I think because I work so much and I work a lot, I would say books are probably my biggest passion. Learning's my biggest passion. And everything I do is because I'm totally committed to lifelong learning. I truly, truly believe that I just think it's like a massive learning journey, and I just want to be here to do it. I'm so committed to it, and I'm looking forward to being, I'm 37 now. I'm looking forward to being 47, and what will I know? I'm excited to think, what will I know?
In 7 days, I'm 47.
I hope you have a beautiful birthday.
I hope I know a lot more by 47, but I've only got 7 days to do it in. You've got 10 years, I've got 7 days.
Yeah, but what will you know at 57? What will you know at 67? Like, I think we've been told this big lie about aging as well, that women need to look younger, and I'm like, do you know what? Now I'm thinking to myself, I really want to embrace like being older, because it's a gift that like not many people get. Like they don't, not everybody gets to grow older. And I think that's probably why I just love learning, and I'm excited really to just be alive.
Wow. Oh, again, you see, you're giving me far too many things to clip and put on Instagram. I'm excited to be alive. That's a lovely quote. But it's such a nice, positive attitude to have, like, especially with, you know, a lot of people who listen to this are anxious. They're comparing themselves to social media and how X looks and Y looks. I've got to look younger. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And to realize that, you know what? There's benefits to being older. There's benefits to learning more, having more time, more experience, more whatever. That's such a lovely little, yeah, that's kind of, it's quietened me down. It's it shut me up, which is weird. So I don't know if you know about my podcast, but we have the previous guest ask the next guest a question. So last week we had the lovely Carolyn Gamble on, and she asked the following question. I have to pick it up from the floor here with my terrible writing. What's the one thing you would do if money and time were no object? Ooh.
So my dream life, and I am manifesting it, is that I will be, and it's not the one thing I might do. I am definitely doing this. This is my ultimate manifestation, because I love to chant, and I've really got into Sanskrit. One of the things that I want to do is go to an ashram, and I want to go and study. I want to actually fully study it. So that is on my list, and that is what I'm going to do. I really want to get into my spirituality fully. Like I am fully spiritual. I mean, I live and embody my spirituality, and everything I do is about spirituality. If you spent a day with me, you'd just be like, this is great. You know, people message me and go, I bet you think I'm mad because I think I've seen a sign. I'm like, this is my whole life. I see signs every minute of the day, and I'm like, you know, if you spent a day with me, you'd be like, wow.
We need like, that used to be one of your programs, A Day with Joe. That'd be awesome. People just hang around with you and have a spiritual day. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, honestly, literally, my whole life is about spirituality, and but I really, really want to study. I want to, you know, go and travel, and I want to spend time in India. So that is what is going to happen, and that is the ultimate dream for me.
Again, with a very similar dream, because, well, it's quite similar. I want to go to, if I had all the time and money in the world, I would go to Rishikesh, where the Beatles went to meet with the Maharishi and stayed there, and it's still there. And I want to go, and I'm not necessarily study there, but just, I'm a massive Beatles fan. I'm a huge sort of interested in Indian spirituality, that the two things together, and to be in that place where they wrote all those amazing songs, where they sort of all just, yeah, that's my dream, to do that one day. So I might see you passing in one of them crazy Indian buses or something on the way to your ashram.
Yeah, do you know what? Stranger things have happened. I'm not joking.
This is it. We need to manifest this. Us waving at each other in buses going the opposite direction. But yeah, that's what I think. So have you got a question? It can be as silly as you like. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be anything you like. Like I say, we've had, what would you eat for $1 million? We had some stupid questions. We had some sensible questions. So have you got a question for my next guest at all?
Yeah, I think I might actually go with this question. It's just popped into my mind. So I would like to ask, what spiritual practices the next guest has, and how they help them in their daily life. So if they do have any, it might not be any, but they might not have any, but if they do, what do they do?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my next guest. I know who it is. I think they probably will. So that's watch this space. I think they may well, yes. It's an international guest next week as well. So
lovely, exciting. I have to watch that.
I'm trying to think what spiritual practices I have. Well, because I usually try and answer this question while we're here. I mean, I read runes. I enjoy reading runes and sort of divining through runes. I like that. So I would say it was a spiritual practice of sorts. Do you know what? Apart from that, and sort of trying to manifest every day, I wouldn't really say I have. I probably need a few more.
Well,
dive deeper. The number of times I've been fascinated by what the rest of the guys on the members group do with the conscious female entrepreneurs, people like yourself, and Ellie has been on. People like, I just find it fascinating. I'm like, I need to get into this more. So that could be one of my Learn Something Fridays in the future.
Yeah, well, you're always welcome to come to a ceremony. Come to a moon ceremony.
I keep planning to do it, and for some reason it's fallen on nights when either I've been like coaching someone or whatever, and I'm like, next one, I'll be there. I'll come along.
Yeah, you'll have to come. It is amazing. We do chanting, and it's just lovely. It is. I love doing them, but it is a commitment coming into moon work. And I can't. People think it's sort of that going back to what those myths around it. When people say to me, "Can we not just do the ceremony on the same time every week?" And I'm like, "No, you can't do that because you're working with the lunar energy. So you have to plan it, because you don't want to be doing it when the moon's void either. So if the moon's void and you put your wishes into the void, you just get nothing back."
Well, people say, "No, you couldn't do the eclipse on a week on Wednesday when I'm free, so I can have a look at it, could you?"
Yeah, we can't schedule in those things. We just got to go with the energy that's there, unfortunately.
Brilliant. I could do the moon thing. I can't really fit it in. Perhaps I could do the moon thing on 10:30 next Monday morning. Could we do it then? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, anyway, I've had such a laugh, and I found out we've got so much in common. We're going to have so many chats after this, I'm sure. But I really appreciate you coming on. I find what you do fascinating, interesting, exciting. It's brilliant. Whereabouts can people get hold of you to sort of learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so I've got my Instagram page is called the Soul and Life Purpose Coach. So soul_life_purpose and life purpose coach. They've all got underscores in between the gaps. If that's what you call them. I'm rubbish with knowing the names of all these
underscores. Yeah, but I'll put that in the show notes at the bottom so people can find you. And have you got anything going on that people can jump on and get involved in soon, or have I just tried to force a moon thing there?
Well, my actual 3-month coaching with the current group is coming to an end now, so I'm starting the next group will actually be my third wave, and that's going to start in April. So that's I'm going to be taking. I've got actually the half full already. So there's only 33 places. I'm already half full. So I'm looking probably to fill the rest of those. I probably will fill them by the end of April. I've got quite a few events coming up. So
if people are interested, get onto your Instagram and get signed up, because there's only 16 places left or whatever. Wow.
Yeah, cool. They need to DM me really, and there needs to be a conversation between me and the person so they know what they're signing up for. Because I think sometimes, like I was saying, it's a commitment. It's a real commitment, but it does pay off. So to have that conversation with me would be great first, and
slide into your DMs, as the youngsters say.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so painfully untrendy. It's like painful to get me to say a sentence like that.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, thank you so much for coming out. I've really, really appreciated having you on. It's been a great chat, and I look forward to seeing you gigging out there and about soon when we're back out again.
Yeah, it'd be exciting. I'm so excited to sing. Honestly, I can't wait. I just need to get out.
Yeah, I need to pick up a guitar. I haven't done for maybe a year now. But that first rehearsal back's going to sound pretty bad.
I know our band's been talking, and we were like, oh, we're going to have to get back together, and we just haven't done anything for a year. It's
going to be some pretty rough sounding gigs out there for the first couple of months.
I know. Well, I love singing Rolling on a River, and I just can't wait to do it. I just can't wait to sing Rolling on a River, honestly.
Fucking song. But honestly, thank you so much for coming along. We'll give everyone a quick wave and say thanks for coming. I have to remind people, if you want to learn more about what I do, pop along to my website, www.thewellbeingwiz.com/calm mind. I've got a free ebook about how to worry less in 7 days called Calm Mind. Pick that up and have a read. There's loads of good tips and hints in there. But thank you very much for coming along, Jay. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Bevan, so much for having me. I've really enjoyed myself. It's been a lovely talk. And stay in touch. Definitely stay in touch. And keep listening to my podcast.
Oh, yeah. Get listening to Joanne's podcast. It's brilliant. Quick one before we go. Yeah. What's it called, your podcast?
The Psychic Weather.
Psychic Weather. I love it. Every Monday morning I listen while I'm walking my dog. So there's another quick plug at the end. Get on to that. Thank you.
All right. Take care of yourself. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.